Now, don't forget to say your prayers. God bless my probation officer.
God bless my probation officer.
God bless the draft board.
God bless the draft board.
God bless the juvenile authorities.
God bless the juvenile authorities.
We're gonna give you a haircut tomorrow.
Shawn, Windsor.
You ever hear of a whiffle? Well, that's what you're gonna get, you big old crybaby, you.
You asked it around your country around my face.
It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on. That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, young man.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Al?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric back with another edition of our summer book club. Yes, it's not official, but we are talking to some of the great authors, telling some of the terrific stories about Detroit and Detroiters. And it is fantastic to be here with Marc and Shawn, but especially with Peter Leonard, who has written a book that's just coming out in paperback called Sweet Dreams. He's also written a Raylan Givens book, and he knows a little bit about Raylan Givens because he worked on the reboot of Justified, and because his father, Elmore Leonard, wrote the original Raylan Givens stories that turned out to be a fantastic series on FX, Justified, and now Justified is back and based in Detroit. It is currently airing, and new episodes are posting, I believe, every Wednesday. But if you haven't seen it and you loved the first show, I think you're really going to like the new show, but it's very, very different, and we're going to talk to Peter about that in just a minute. We want to thank our presenting sponsor, Luke Nowacki of Pinnacle Wealth Strategies, who will help you plan for the future and kind of not worry about the future, because his job is to make sure that your money works for you. We're going to tell you how to take advantage of that opportunity a little later in the show. And, of course, the Caju Cafe. You heard John Rutherford of the Caju Cafe and Alex Porby, a local artist who helped gussy up the exterior of the Caju Cafe and has had some beautiful art installations throughout the city. That was on last week's episode. If you missed it, feels like it was just yesterday, but please give that a listen because it's some pretty good stuff. And the bricklayers are helping you build not just your home and your business, but a better future. We're going to tell you how you can take advantage of their apprentice program, which will pay you $26, more than $26 an hour while you go to school, provide you benefits, and set you up for not one but two pensions and an annuity. So stick around to find out about that, because that opportunity alone is worth the price of admission. Of course, this show is free, but you can support us by making a donation or by buying some of our new merchandise. Our merchandise store is open for a limited time until August 16th. We've got some new gear. It's really cool. If you want to be swaggy, rock the fist, go get some of that right now. Go get you some, as I think Boyd Crowder might say.
It helps keep the little show going, too.
It does. A portion of all the proceeds supports local bartenders and the three of us. Mm-hmm. So check it out. You can find a link at our website. Marc, do you like the new gear?
I do. Some people might say that I had a hand in designing it. I didn't.
You may have had a fist in designing it.
But some people might say that.
Gross. Some people might say.
You don't know who the people are, but some. By the way, it's good to be back with you guys. It's been a while, and boy, does a week go by quickly.
You have not aged a day. No, you have aged a day.
I know you look super bright today on the video. I don't know why.
Exactly one day.
Reflection on the dome.
No, it's.
Well, we're going to give you a haircut according to the intro.
You're glowing.
Do I need a haircut?
On the sides, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
The shoulders.
Yeah, it's all good.
No, you need a haircut. It's coming out of your nose.
Or the ears.
That's always pleasant. I hate taking those trips up north with my daughter, because she'll always reach over and grab. She's like, "There's a hair coming out of your ear," and I'll say, "Well, how can you see it? Can't be that long." And then she'll grab it, and it turns out we could actually use it to tow a boat, which makes you feel like you're not only getting older, but grosser. And that's good, because then you realize that you appeal to nobody under the age of 70.
You know, you never know what you're going to get when you come down to the studio of the Red Shovel Network, do you? Here's a headline on a piece of paper that's randomly sitting before me that says, I had 2 penises and used both for sex.
Well, that's leftovers
The
from
women were
Drew and
addicted.
Mike last week.
Okay.
I mean,
That's the kind of highbrow stuff that is popular.
well, you know what's fascinating
And we're
about
trying
it?
to get Mike to get down into the gutter because we want more listeners.
How many people do you think in the world have that syndrome? This is what blew my mind in that story. Plus, I don't believe that guy when I hear him
2
talk.
penis syndrome?
Yeah.
So
1,000.
we decided to have an author on here to try and raise the level of discussion. I see that that's...
Well, I'm glad Shawn was here and to lower it.
I see that's going
I'm
wonderfully.
so
Well,
bummed. Sorry.
Peter, thank you for sticking around. I
Sorry,
would have
Peter.
left by now if I didn't know what I was in for.
I'm enjoying it. It's a pleasure to be here, ML, with you, Shawn, and Marc. I love the studio, and I'm ready.
There you go.
It does have a very unpretentious air, which I guess is another way of saying it's kind of a dungeon. But that's the way it goes.
If you say so.
So
It has everything you need.
that's it.
Exactly.
It's 3 turntables and 4 microphones. No turntables. Do we have any turntables?
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Okay, that's all right. I met Peter earlier this year at the Free Film Festival, where there was a documentary, an outstanding documentary about his father, Elmore Leonard, and it was called "Don't Try to Write." Isn't that right, Peter?
Yes.
Okay. So Peter, being a good and obedient son, became an author. So wait a minute. Your dad said, "Don't try to write," and here you are writing. Didn't you listen? What's going on? You're as disobedient, as much of a miscreant as everybody in these books that we love so much.
Well, after college, I wrote a short story, and I sent it to Elmore. It was 6 pages long, and he sent me a 3-page critique, the gist of which was, your characters are all the same. They're like strips of leather drying in the sun. And, he used a metaphor which he never does in his writing. And so I didn't write another word of fiction for 25 years. Not because of that, but because I was married and had kids, and I was in the advertising business, writing ads.
So your dad was, I don't want to say an unsuccessful ad man. I think he was a successful ad man, but you were a really successful ad man. He went from advertising to being an author. You went from being an incredibly successful advertising man to being an author as like a second career. But I think your dad always wanted to be a writer. Is that
He
right?
did, yeah. When he was in 5th grade, he knew he wanted to be a writer. And so for me, I had been thinking about writing a novel for decades, but never did. And I was at a meeting at Volkswagen, and the ad manager took my first storyboard and flung it across the room like a Frisbee. And he was a funny guy, didn't really bother me, but I just thought, why am I doing this? And then I stopped by my father's on the way home, and he was wearing Birkenstocks and jeans and a 9 Inch Nails T-shirt, smoking a cigarette, writing the Hot Kid. And he was enthusiastic, had a bounce in his step. And for me, that was sort of an epiphany. I thought, if I'm ever going to do it, I was 52 at the time, and I thought, I better go. I better do it. And a year later, I had a book, and that was the beginning.
Was that Quiver was your first book?
Quiver, yes.
So that's impressive to me, because I would always love to be a successful musician, but I can't just decide, you know what, I'd rather be up there on stage and in the audience, and a year later be leading the band. I don't know how you just decide that and then make it happen. That's extraordinary to me.
Well, I had, actually I wrote a novella before that didn't work, that didn't fly. And my father said every writer has a book in their desk drawer somewhere that didn't make it, so don't worry about it.
What was his book in the desk drawer?
I don't know.
Was that burned on his death, or have you just not opened all the drawers yet?
I'm not sure. He may not have.
Okay.
He may be the exception to that rule.
Well, he did pretty well. So,
So Quiver comes out. What year did Quiver come out?
Quiver was out in 2005, I believe.
No, I mean The Shadow is pretty big. with your dad. Did you ever think of doing a pen name, or did it help you? I mean, how did that play into getting it published?
It was a blessing and a curse, actually. Yeah. It helped me get notoriety. It helped me get reviews, but it also brought attention to the fact that I was writing my first novel, and it wasn't nearly as polished as anything Elmore had written. So
you're going to be judged against that too, aren't you?
Yeah, I still am.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you see the mean reviews. It's like he's nothing like his father. I mean, it's just such an easy. It's such an easy barb to throw at somebody.
It really is.
A lazy barb too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. It's like calling a fat guy fats.
Do you ever do that to yourself though? Do you ever think of, oh boy, I mean, do you ever compare yourself to your dad's writings?
No, I mean, I think that my style is similar to his. I mean, he's one of the writers that I copied and liked, but eventually you can try to copy someone, but it becomes your sound, your voice, and it has your attitude.
Well, the subject matter is similar. You have a lot of people in law enforcement, a lot of it with Detroit flavor. Some of your books, including Sweet Dreams, which is just out on paperback, the protagonists are women. How do you write from a woman's perspective? That seems like a very bold decision for an author.
I asked my father when I was writing my first female main character. I said, "How do you write a woman?" And he said, you picture a girl you knew in high school who had 5 brothers, a girl who could throw a curveball. I said, okay, that's good advice.
Well, you remember Jack Nicholson's answer to that in As Good as It Gets, where he said, I think of what a man would do, and then I take out responsibility and blah, blah, blah. And that's what, and I'm like Jack, I don't know that you might have got away with that answer in 1998, but that's not going to fly in 2023. So you look for a woman that has some grit, who has some, which Shawn knows about because he's been covering the Lions, which is now the official grit team of the NFL.
Oh.
But you like to have someone with a little bit of chip on her shoulder.
Yes, I think that's the best way to start, and I've done that. It's challenging, but some of the stories that I've come up with, a woman is the only possible main character. So.
Well, in Sweet Dreams, Kate McGraw is the protagonist. She is the only woman on the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, and she's inspired by a real person. Tell us the origin story for Kate.
I was doing research.
Get the bell ready, Mark.
Okay.
I was doing research for a Raylan Givens novel, and I ended up spending weeks with the Marshals, U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, first in San Diego, and then in El Centro, California, which is about eight miles north of the Mexican border. And then I came to Detroit and spent a lot of time with the Marshals here, Fugitive Task Force, and I rode with different marshals and listened to their stories and their points of view, and it was interesting. And I met the lone woman on the Marshals Fugitive Task Force, a girl named Megan, who was girlish. She could have been somebody you might see at a Taylor Swift concert, and she was such a contrast to the alpha males, the tough guys that were on the task force. And I rode with her, and it was really delightful. And once she put on a tack vest and had a Glock 22 on her hip, you tended to take her seriously. And we stopped at a gas station one time, and there were a bunch of guys, street guys, hanging around, and she was going to go in and get some water. She looked at me and she said, "Don't get carjacked." And I said, "Where's my gun?" And she said, "It's in here." And she points to the compartment between the seats. And so she goes in the gas station and comes out, and 3 guys are talking to her. And they're talking for maybe 10 minutes, and she gets in the car. I said, "What did they say to you?" And she said, "One of the guys said that he thought he just saw me in a video game and asked me out." And I told him I was a vegetarian. And he said, "Okay, forget it."
So that line doesn't work. What kind of vehicle were you in? Do you remember?
We were in a Ford Explorer.
Okay.
Beat up, 10 years old, a car that would look right at home in a inner city Detroit neighborhood.
So the reason I'm asking is because we were talking before the show started about whether she worked on the Kilpatrick trial, and you told me that she did, and I'm trying to think if I can remember her. But there was a day during the Kilpatrick trial where there was somebody, she was a Fed, she was a woman Fed. I think she was a marshal, but I'm not sure. But she was parked in front of the courthouse in a Dodge Caravan, and we had an undercover Dodge Caravan for Fox 2, and I thought it was our photographer, and I got in the car, and I sat, and all of a sudden this woman turns to me, and she practically has a gun in my face. I thought I was going to get shot, and she goes like, "What the hell are you?" I said, "I'm sorry, wrong car." But she was very feminine. She was very professional. She did have the tack
Till she
vest
pulled
on,
that
and
gun out.
well, she didn't quite pull it out, but she reached for it. And I
Had her
thought,
hand on
"Holy
it,
shit, I'm going to get shot in front of the courthouse in a van." And
That would've
I
been
just
a good
was wondering
story,
if that
though.
might have been Megan, but she meets that description. But we have apparently been in the same room at the same time. And when you take Megan, tell us about the journey that Megan, who becomes Kate, goes on.
Well, I wanted to follow up and just say that once she said that she escorted Kwame Kilpatrick during his trial from the jail to the federal courthouse, I said to her, "Did he hit on you?" And she said, "Oh, yeah." And I thought, wow, he didn't miss an opportunity.
No, well, I mean, he could be inside for 28 years if Donald Trump doesn't
But
get
he
elected.
really learned his lesson, right, with Carlita and cheating on her.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
So based on Megan, my main character is Kate McGraw, and she too is the lone female on the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force. And on her first day on the force, or actually in the with the Marshals, she wasn't on the task force at that point. She was just kind of getting her feet wet, getting the lay of the land, and she, on her way home, she's driving down Woodward and sees a guy steal a woman's purse, and he starts running, and so she doesn't know what to do. I mean, she sees a crime in progress, but it's really not the Marshals Service purview to get involved in local crime, but she can't let it go, and so she punches the accelerator and speeds up and gets ahead of the bandit and gets out of the car and takes her Glock 22 out of her purse and points it at the guy, and then he starts running, and she runs after him, and he's wearing a tank top, and he has dreads, and he's carrying this animal print designer purse, which contrasts the outfit, and he has jeans that are down low on his skinny hips and exposing 6 inches of boxers, and he runs, and eventually the pants go down farther and trip him, and he falls, and she runs up and puts her gun on him, and this is her first arrest as a U.S. Marshal, first time she's drawn her weapon.
Does Megan, the real woman, does she know that Kate is slightly based on her?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
so she helped you throughout, or just...
No.
Okay.
I talked to her a few times after riding with her, but and I told her that I was going to use her in a book, and
That's pretty flattering.
she kind of had mixed emotions because
Really?
she wasn't a grandstander. I mean, she didn't want the spotlight at all.
So did you hear back from her where she said, "Peter, I would never do this, or Peter.
Exactly.
What makes you think, Peter? I'm not.
You
that,
got it wrong.
Yeah.
I actually did hear back from her. I sent her a book and thanked her for all her help, and she said, okay. I mean, she didn't really make much out of it, and because she had, in the meantime, left the Marshal Service. She had been sent to another city for a promotion. She was a supervisor, and this is a southern city, and apparently she had trouble with the guys, the men that she was in charge of. They didn't buy her, and she ended up leaving the service.
Well, that's unfortunate.
That's a bummer.
Do you want to read us a passage from the book? And this is Sweet Dreams by Peter Leonard. Some people would say he's Elmore Leonard's son. I like to say Elmore is Peter's father.
I like that.
There you go. Put that on the next cover.
This is the actual scene I was just telling you about. On her first day as a deputy U.S. Marshal, Kate McGraw was leaving the city, driving home on Woodward Avenue. Just past Campus Marshes, she glanced right and saw a skinny black dude with dreads steal a woman's purse. The woman, white and well-dressed, fought, yelled, and took off after the guy. Kate hesitated for a couple of beats, wondering what she should do, knowing this wasn't exactly in the Marshal Service purview, but she couldn't ignore a crime in progress. She punched the accelerator, pulled past the bandit sprinting along the sidewalk, the stolen animal print designer bag contrasting the dude's tank top and jeans wore below his narrow hips, exposing 6 inches of white briefs. Kate parked on the side of the road, got out of the car, and waited for him. She could feel the adrenaline kick in when he was about 40 feet away, drew her weapon from the shoulder bag, held it with 2 hands, and said, Deputy U.S. Marshal, for the first time in her professional career, stop right there. The dude glanced at her and cut right toward Cadillac Square, knowing she wasn't going to shoot him. Kate, still gripping the Glock, chased the guy for half a block, and when his lowrider jeans dropped to mid-thigh, he tripped and went down. She cuffed his hands behind his back and patted him down, searching for weapons the way they taught her at Glencoe. He was clean. She took his wallet out of his back pocket and sat him up on the concrete. People walking by, others stopping some distance away to see what was going on, checking out this girl with a Glock 22 in her hand.
That's pretty good. I've seen that scene.
I was going to say, very realistic.
Now, you met her, I believe, while you were working on your own Raylan Givens book.
Yes, exactly.
Now, you're walking in some pretty big footsteps. Now you're writing about Raylan Givens. I mean, what kind of stamina does that take? Because it feels like that's. You're opening yourself up to a lot of potential criticism, that takes some stones.
When my father passed away, he was 110 pages into his 46th novel called Blue Dreams. And at the funeral and after, people asked me if I was going to finish his novel. And I always said no. To me, it's sacred. You got to leave it. I'm not going to get involved in it. And my brother Chris, some weeks later, said to me, why don't you write a Raylan novel? And I thought, that's an interesting idea because of Justified. It's already been written by other writers, so I thought maybe it's fair game. And I felt comfortable with Raylan, knowing Raylan, feeling like I knew him, and so I thought, why not? And I remember, let me just digress, Elmore told me about Blue Dreams, and just a quick note here. It was the main character was Kyle McCoy. He was a bull rider, and he met a bull rider groupie named Celeste. And she said to him, you want to go to bed? And he said, I can't, I'm married. And she said, no, you're not. And they spent the next 3 days in the sack, after which Celeste had a tattoo inked on her lower abdomen that said, Kyle was here.
Well, I'd like to read the next 200 pages of that, but maybe someday we will.
Maybe.
Chris sounds like he's pretty persuasive. We're going to have to talk to Chris about this. But Peter's book is called Raylan Goes to Detroit. And I'll just read you a little bit about it. After an altercation with his superiors in Harlan County, Kentucky, Deputy U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens is offered two choices. He can either retire or finish his career on the fugitive task force in the crime-ridden precincts of Detroit. Now, that is not exactly how the reboot of Justified starts. He's taking his daughter to some sort of boarding school that I guess is going to take him into Michigan. But he gets stuck in Detroit investigating the bombing of a judge's car, and that leads to another incident, and then he's going to spend the whole season here in Detroit. You were a consultant on this. Tell us about how you got involved and how you feel about that project.
Well, the new season is based on a novel my father wrote called
City Primeval, is it? Or?
City Primeval, which I think is one of his best books.
Okay.
And the bad guy, Clement Mansell, is one of his best bad guys. So I was enthusiastic that they were using that, and I think the series is great. It's totally different than, as you had pointed out earlier, the one that took place in Harlan County, Kentucky. But it's there's a lot of action. There's a great bad guy, good guy thing happening, and it's fun. The acting is superb too.
Well, I certainly like Clement's penchant for classic cars. There's a lot of beautiful Detroit iron in that car, but with this group here, we love Walton Goggins. Just about anything Walton Goggins does, we will watch and we will savor. When I ask people who their favorite character in Justified was, they have to think about it, because I think a lot of people are inclined to say Boyd Crowder, who is actually the villain. But he was such a charming, endearing rogue. Clement Mansell, I find nothing charming about this guy, nothing redeeming. He is the most scurrilous, soulless villain, at least in the first two episodes. That's one of the big differences I see. How would you compare the two Justifieds, the 6 seasons that ended, I think, around 2018, 2019, and now
15.
2015. Okay, so even that much, and you can see Timothy Olyphant's quite a bit older. He's got some scruff on his chin. His hair is gray. He seems a little wearier. He also seems a little slower so far to draw on people. I mean, the original series began with him shooting a guy in Miami over brunch, but I haven't seen him shoot anybody in the first 2 episodes yet.
Although he was quick to pull a shotgun in the first episod.
And I would have said by rights he could have plugged those guys, but he didn't. Maybe that's mellower Raylan. Put a sawed-off in your face, but he won't blow your face off.
Clement Mansell is the Oklahoma wild man, and
that's what they used to call Shawn, as you can tell.
That's me.
Barely keep him under control over there.
And he's a good guy, and he's a bad guy. He has this psychotic menace that is just below the surface. But he's very charming, as you'll see in future episodes.
He better warm up a little bit. I mean, I like his aspirations to be a singer, and you can tell that he's brimming with the kind of confidence that a gentleman that Megan spent some time transporting from one facility to another was also blessed with. But there's so much menace in him, and he seems, Boyd Crowder killed people, and I always kind of felt that they had it coming. But I've seen already in just the first couple episodes, I've seen Clement kill people where it seemed like it didn't even occur to him that whether they were right or wrong. He didn't want them there anymore, and they were gone.
Yeah.
He tells the one woman, you're kind of pretty, and then he intentionally shoots her in the face. I mean,
yeah, he's bad.
Yeah, that's a bad motor scooter.
Well, regarding Boyd Crowder, I would just say stay tuned.
Oh, no. Really?
What a tease.
Damn, but that's why they made him an executive producer on Justified.
Don't miss any episodes.
No, I won't. So, Peter, Sweet Dreams is out. Where can people find a copy of this paperback? It's been in hardback for a while, but now you can get something you can put in your back pocket and take to the beach.
Amazon.com, bookstores.
Okay.
You can find a bookstore.
You don't have a website where you sell it directly?
I have a website, yeah, and I think, yes.
PeterLeonard.com, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Peter Leonard Books.
Was it Peter Leonard Books? Okay. Well, you can. I'll tell you, if you look for Peter Leonard and Sweet Dreams, you'll come up with his website, and you'll see the covers for all his books and a little synopsis of each of the books. I'm looking forward to diving into them. I have not read all 46 of your dad's, but I will not wait to get to the last book before I start picking up some of yours, because the plots sound really good, and obviously you are your father's son, and that's meant as a compliment. Sometimes people's kids, you're like, I don't want to blame the old man for that, but
Thank you.
It's good stuff, and we're looking forward to I don't know, cliffhanger here, maybe perhaps the return of Boyd Crowder. Maybe he and Raylan Givens are going to co-parent Willa. Is that where we're going with this? Is this going to turn out to be a feel-good? They lock up Clement and then they...
I can't tell you.
Damn. Okay. Well, it's...
So frustrated now.
I know. Well, maybe when Peter goes off there, he'll tell us, and then we won't tell you, because why should we cut you in on it?
Well, now I don't want him to tell you off the air.
What?
Why should you get special...
I wish I
privileges.
Wish I had my sawed off and teach you some manners.
I wanted to mention one thing that I think is kind of interesting. The original showrunner, Justified, Graham Yost, had blue rubber bracelets made with WWED on them, and which stood for What Would Elmore Do? So all the writers in the writers' room wore one of these bracelets, and it kept them kind of focused on Elmore's sound and his voice and attitude. And I remember my dad read the pilot script, and he called me up. He said, the Justified writers have me down. They got me. They've got my sound. It's unbelievable. And my father was always very critical of movies and series that had been produced from his work, and because the directors typically would have an actor deliver a line and then almost with a wink wait for a response like it was a comedy, and he said that of all of the 25 adaptations from his work, only 6 were any good.
He liked Jackie Brown, right? Quentin Tarantino.
Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
You like Get Shorty?
Get Shorty, he had
yes.
to. Yeah, absolutely.
Out of Sight, that was really
Out of
good.
Sight, those 3 movies, and then Hombre and Valdez as westerns. Valdez is coming.
Do you think he would like
great Burt Lancaster movie.
the new
I
Justified?
think he'd love it. Yeah.
You know, you were mentioning Boyd Holbrook. Boyd Holbrook is. You were talking about the layers as a bad guy. He's really something. Did you see Logan? The movie?
The movie Logan, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time I saw him, but he was actually in Narcos, I think, had come out before that. But that guy is like he's a magnetic screen presence.
He really is.
And he's not, I don't feel that well known somehow. I don't hear him talked about a lot, but he's he
how it
jumps,
is with Walter Goggins, though.
jumps off the screen.
He's getting high praise for his...
Good.
Peter, your dad was known for like firing off letters to those people that made the movies he didn't like, right?
Right, yes.
Who did he write to?
Burt Reynolds.
Lansing's own.
After Stick, what a disaster that was. In fact, Elmore wrote Burt a letter, and there was a movie poster, and I think the original headline was, the only thing he didn't stick to were the rules, and my father changed it to the only thing he didn't stick to was the script.
The script, yeah.
Did he ever hear back from Burt?
Anecdote.
He did, and Burt was on Good Morning America, and he was complaining. He said, "I don't know what Elmore Leonard turned on me. I don't know what happened."
He knows exactly what happened.
Exactly.
And what Burt Reynolds did with your dad's book Cannonball Run is an outrage. I mean, I just don't know what he was thinking.
He made up for it, though, with Boogie Nights. I know it's not your dad's book, but he did have one good performance in his career.
The worst one.
Burt did a lot of good
Burt
movies.
was good.
He just got too caught up in being Burt.
Indeed. The worst one was The Big Bounce. So that was my father's first crime novel, set in the late 60s. Ryan O'Neal was the main character star. And my father went to the premiere in New York, and he sat behind a couple. And within 15 minutes, the woman said to her husband, "This is the worst movie I've ever seen." And they got up and walked out of the theater, and my father followed them.
And got notes, or just said, "Here's your $7
He
back."
thought it was the worst movie too.
Wow.
You know, I heard your dad didn't like Joe Kidd, which I love Joe Kidd. Now, I haven't read the book, so I don't know. And he probably liked 3:10 to Yuma, too, right? I'm sure he was happy with
He liked the first one.
with Glenn Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't like the second one?
No.
No,
Really?
really? Okay.
I love the second one.
He wondered why Russell Crowe killed all these men in the end.
The movie did. It was weird because Russell Crowe developed a soft spot for Christian Bale, and then in the end, I mean, it didn't. The arc kind of just turned into a squiggle. It didn't work. But I love Joe Kidd, so I don't know if it's just that it didn't stick to the book or not.
Ben Foster, that was who'd come out of 6 Feet Under, playing a certain kind of meekish character to be the bad guy in 3:10 to Yuma. Like, he was great.
He was good, yeah, very good. The Big Bounce was remade in 2004, starring Owen Wilson and Charlie Sheen.
That's right.
And anytime there was a lull in the action, the director, it was shot in Hawaii, and the book was set in the upper the thumb area of Michigan.
Oh, there's a lot of similarities there.
Oh, yeah. And anytime lull in the action, the director would show surfers. And my father was just dumbfounded by that. And
I don't even think there are waves on Lake Huron. You got to go out 4 miles before it's over your knees.
So Elmore thought he was responsible for 2 of the worst movies ever made based on his one book.
Well, I mean, he was indirectly.
But on the other hand, his work led to Gene Hackman in Get Shorty, which is one of the
really good.
Yeah.
Great performances.
Peter, before we let you go, why did your dad never use metaphor? Did he ever explain that?
No, it's just one of those things that he didn't believe in. Just as he didn't like to use adverbs to modify the verb said.
Well, anybody who talks about writing will tell you, and your dad also had, is it 11 rules for writing? There's something that he has that 10. And they're
rules of writing.
They're fantastic. And in journalism, when
similar.
I teach, I tell people, just use said, because it's an invisible word, and it gets the job done. And if you're conveying what happened, and the quotes you use do that, you don't need to set it up with, it's sort of like saying, it was an incredibly hot 110-degree day. Well, if it's 110-degree days, that's incredibly hot. Let's just say it's 110 degrees.
Yeah, that says it.
Let's just get to it, And if you're from Mexico, maybe that's a balmy day. So now you're telling me it's incredibly hot. You're telling me something that I don't believe. So let it speak for itself. Peter, thank you so much for coming in. Sweet Dreams available in paperback. Obviously, Justified is on FX. Check that out. And I understand you're making a stop on your way out of here.
Yes, I'm going to my son's bakery called the Secret Bakery. And it's been open for a couple of months on Livernois in Ferndale.
So it's a secret, but
don't tell anyone.
You can tell people. Yeah, don't try to write, but definitely tell the secret. I think that would be the Leonard message.
Definitely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Peter Leonard, ad man, author, consultant to the stars. We're looking forward to, I hope, another season of Justified, and I hope that you'll be involved too, because I'm wondering if they got some WWPLD bracelets in the writer's room.
Doubtful, but I think there will be another season.
Okay.
Because the reviews have been pretty good, and a lot of momentum and enthusiasm.
What, 2 justified men and a baby? I think it's going to be great.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Ridiculous.
trans Boyd and
giving
non-binary Rayland, and then Willa will be like, what the hell am I supposed to do with these 2 old guys?
Giving writing advice with that joke?
No. So here's because it's always about
we don't
me.
need an explanation.
We don't need it. That's okay.
Don't put Peter through that.
I wanted to be an author in 5th grade too, and realized I could never do it, so I'm doing this instead. One of the many differences between me and Elmore Leonard, but so many differences. Okay, this is getting really heartbreaking. Peter, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, ML.
So,
And Mark as well.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Peter.
Mark, can you tell the good people what's going on with Mr. Luke Nowacki and how he can make all your dreams come true? Maybe that's Pedro. Sorry.
Same thing, same difference. Luke Nowacki, you can give him a call, 248-663-4748. He's the money guy. He's going to see where do you want your money to be? How old are you? Should we put it in equity? Should we put it in bonds? So much to do with your money. You got to have somebody who knows what they're doing, and we recommend Luke Nowacki, 248-663-4748 for a free consultation, and he'll help you out.
And the one thing you'll find out when you call Luke is that he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. Member FINRA SIPC.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc.
And if you're looking for a tough job, a rewarding job, we recommend the bricklayers and allied craft workers, because right now those guys of Local 2 Michigan are looking for hardworking men and women all throughout this whole state. Whether you have experience in any of the trowel trades or not, there's an option for you. If you have zero experience, no prior experience whatsoever, there's free training opportunities with job placement that's starting just over $26 an hour. Plus benefits, and you can earn while you learn as a registered apprentice. Experienced tradesmen and women in building new or restoring old masonry, including installing tile, marble, terrazzo, caulking, finishing concrete, all that stuff. You can make anywhere between $26 and $37 plus benefits like Blue Cross Blue Shield, health insurance, 2 pensions. That's crazy. No one gets 1 pension, much less 2. An annuity, year-round training for free, workshop certifications, possibility of more. There's also referral and signing bonuses. Check it all out. Bricklayers.org. Learn more about what Local 2 has to offer, or you can take the next step in literally building your future.
That's right. Lay a great foundation.
There you go. Sorry.
Mike here.
With the bricklayer.
What's going on?
Oh, thank you for potting me down.
Yeah.
You are, or just cut me off. You are such a good reader. Thank you.
But can I get one of those? Can I get one of those?
It's a pleasure to listen to
It's
you.
off the top of my head. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, the improviser.
Most of Luke's was.
Can I get one of those cut Shawn off switches over here? Is that like can I get a cough button that just says?
But by the way, just the stuff you've left in my eyesight
What now?
today.
What now? You're like a child. What did you find now?
What do you mean? No, it's just right in front of me. Love is blind, ruin this turd's life. No more planes for you, bitch. These are links on a screen right in front of me.
Oh, yeah. That's
Billy Reporter punched in TikTok challenge.
That is prep that Brandon sends, stories that Brandon finds interesting that he sends out to Drew. I never read it.
Thanks for waiting for our guest to leave before you drop some more of that gutter stuff on us.
Well, no, I'm just I'm wondering what kind of network we're a part of. I'm surrounded by multiple penises and no more planes for you, bitch. And yeah.
You don't like the no more planes rule when someone acts up?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, for
I'm
sure.
sure that's what
love
that story
I
is
like the
about.
no more Kilpatrick, too.
I am so bummed out about never using metaphor. I love.
You do? I had no idea.
You know what? If you want to.
I mean, I knew I could never make it as a writer, but
Mark.
every day it's just reinforced that my decision in the 5th grade to abandon ship was such a good decision because I'm so poorly suited for this. I mean, I worked so
he just
hard to
used one. He
write.
said
Elmore
it-
Leonard, don't try to write.
He
you
said
know?
abandoned ship.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was thinking.
Is that a metaphor?
And technically, yeah. So I was thinking that.
I thought it was a cliche.
We were talking, well, it's both. I was thinking that, we were talking about, hey, sometimes we go a little bit long here. We want to make it efficiencies. If he cuts out metaphor, Mark,
Oh, my God.
what kind of time are we saving?
What time will we save? Overall, 20 minutes.
Oh, and how much more time could we save if we cut out Shawn tell me what not to do? That's got to be 40 minutes right
What
there.
We would have a show.
No, come on, man. What about if we cut out his similes? Or an
Are you
allergies.
trying to hurt his feelings?
That would be like cutting off my head. That's a simile.
Yeah, no.
Sorry. Could we get to Geek of the Week?
I did have a question for you, though.
I'm looking
Yes.
for the sounder to
I
bail
did
me
have a
out.
question for
I know,
Mike.
but when Shawn has something, I got
How much time would we save if Shawn didn't say, I have a
do have a
question before he
question
asks
for
the
you.
question?
20
and
minutes.
then
Question
repeats
for
it.
you.
Yes.
Do you have two penises, Mike?
On your body, yourself.
I will just say, on this side of the table, there were two Peters.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the
Mine and Peter Leonard.
It certainly was not worth it.
What a dork.
Don't set me up, man. Do not put that match in the gas can. Well, I was going to say this week's geek should be the Michigan Supreme Court.
Oh, no, now it's me.
For the slap on the wrist that they gave Judge Tracy Green, a judge who couldn't be counted on to protect her own grandchildren. The Judicial Tenure Commission, their special master, and everybody involved in the case thought she should be removed from the bench. Instead, the Michigan Supreme Court gives her a 6-month suspension. She should be my Geek of the Week. But no, instead, I'm going to call people who get into something. Now, I've never heard of this before. I'm sure Drew knows all about it. But murderabilia?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the door from the house at the Tate Polanski residence.
Which is, I believe, the last thing standing, isn't it? Or no, the house is still up there.
No. So we're going to get that.
Oh, sorry.
This is where the Manson family wrote pig on it before they slaughtered pregnant Sharon Tate. It is now for auction. Trent Reznor bought the Tate house, or the Tate Polanski house. It was later destroyed, but he saved the door, and he's such a sick piece of shit, even though I really love the first album, that he created an in-home studio at his house, used the door for the studio, the door from the murder house for the studio, and wrote Le Pig on it, like it's Le Pig Studio. So what the hell is wrong with Trent Reznor? Okay, so Trent Reznor, lots going on there.
Didn't he write Hurt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great song.
Then, yeah, especially when Johnny Cash sings it.
Yeah,
I mean, is it just because of what he did with the door you don't like it, or is it because the door was auctioned off and you bought it?
No. I mean, the fact that he preserved it and then used it almost in sort of a, I'm going to say a jocular way, like, oh, this is the Pig Studio.
Glorifying,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's just incredibly insensitive and cruel. But now it's being auctioned, and the bids on this are getting like 5 figures. It is, people really want to buy this door, and why? This is something. Not that we should forget the crime, but we shouldn't.
People have always been fascinated.
Romanticize this.
Well, I would agree with that, but people have always been fascinated with the macabre. And I mean, is there a bigger?
Okay, so you can read Poe, but you don't need to bid on the monkey paw. You know, I mean,
Sure.
you can read about the rise of the Third Reich, but you don't need to buy Hitler's mustache mug.
No, I mean, I would prefer they were in museums or something, but I don't know. I wouldn't buy it, but I have no problem with someone else. I guess I kind of understand in a weird, odd way. I don't like what he's using it for. You clearly disagree.
Well, he's done his thing, and that's that. But anybody who's out there spending good money on murderabilia
or Nazi-abilia.
Yeah, well, that was mass murderabilia, right? I mean, it's genocide. You know, what are you going to... Oh, I got Slobodan Milosevic's Fitbit, you know.
It's weird.
If you're into that, you...
What about, like, okay, so... I'm sorry.
He was going to say Geek of the Week.
I know, but now I'm extending it because I find this interesting. What about Paul Rubens, who just passed away, Pee Wee Herman, right? Do you know about his 2012 incident?
When he went to the movies?
No, that was 91. So
Pee Wee Herman?
Jeffrey Jones, I believe is the actor's
Oh, yeah,
name.
from Beetlejuice and from Hunt for Red October.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Guy
busted massive fucking pedophile, right? During that trial, it came out that, hey, Paul Rubens has some material too. So they raided his home and they found a bunch of stuff. And, you know, they charged him, and Paul or Pee Wee came out and said, wait a sec. You can think I'm a weirdo and a creep, but I'm not a pedophile. This stuff that they collected that they say is pedophilia was the Rob Lowe video.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that pedophilia. Consenting sex with a couple people. They were under 18.
She's underage.
But they were, what, 16 and 17, right?
Eventually,
and it's Georgia, so they could have gotten married.
Eventually, this all got, I believe, tossed out with Paul.
I don't think you want to use that verb.
They thrown out of the court. So, but the rest of his collection was really weird sexual stuff. But it wasn't sex. It was like nudes and I don't know. It was just really weird stuff. But that's what he collected. Is it weird? Yeah. But
if everybody involved in it was consenting, that's not the same as saving the door where a pregnant woman was murdered by psychopaths.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else was in his collection. I just found it to be a real interesting story. It's weird. It's messed up.
Speaking of mass murder.
So just to recap, Harbaugh fan, loves murderabilia, righteous gentleman from East Lansing, thinks of the Geek of the Week. No?
No, I was just
Shawn,
Shawn
was
sorry.
I was waiting for Shawn.
No, yeah, sorry. Speaking of
I was just trying to get a cheap
mass
date
murder,
there.
I need to nominate myself for Geek of the Week. Maybe you guys can help me out with this.
It's all about Shawn.
No. So the carpenter bees. Let's go to carpenter.
I thought we were trying to save time. Now we're talking about carpenter.
But I want your opinion on this. And have you ever seen this or heard of this? So carpenter bees.
Yes, you really care what I think about
I've got this bar area, kind of whatever outside. It's made out of wood and there's stone on top.
Is that the Le Pig bar?
There's a corner where these bees burrowed in a couple holes, and for the last several weeks there have been hundreds and hundreds of swarming in. And finally, I go get some foam that's designed and I spray it, and they start dying like crazy. After a couple hours, there's a pile of them, hundreds of them stacked up on top of each other, dead.
Yes, dip them in chocolate and eat them.
Right? Look like a if you're wanting cricket tacos or something or whatever. But in any case, the next morning, I go out there, they're gone. I asked my wife, "Did you get rid of the bees?" And I'm literally hundreds of them in like a pyramid-style pile, and she said no. I went and did a little research and found out that there's some social insects, including ants, that bury their dead when there's and they haul them away.
Yeah, you've seen ants pull away dead ants. That happens all the time.
But I've never seen just a whole pile of insects like that disappear within a matter of a few hours. There's a term for it. I can't remember. Necro something or other.
I love how you fill your free time.
That's more Mike's area, the necro stuff. But I'm just curious. Have you guys ever seen that?
I've never seen that. I didn't even know that happened.
And you, carpenter bees, are entomologist of the week.
But I felt bad for killing them. You know, they're not honeybees, but still.
For killing them.
I really did.
We're running a confessional here to do 10 Hail Marys and don't tell any more stories. That's your penance. I'm glad Peter wasn't here for that. Metaphorically speaking, we are going to remove that pile of dead carpenter bees that Shawn piled up when he said that he knew something about new wave music by playing the Primitives and Sick of It. And on the back end, we're going to talk about whether this really is.
I didn't say I knew anything about new wave music. I was doing a little.
Cue the song!
Oh my God! When is this section going to end?
Are you sick of it?